Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
You can actually see a panda. We have Copy and we have Panda.
Hi.
And we have a blackout curtain, or at least part of one. So,
It works well.
yeah. And it's so dreary out right now today that the one day that I actually have it, I don't need it. So, but, so today we're talking about traditions and making your own because we've kind of joined families and picked up friends' traditions and that kind of thing for the holidays. And I've made my own over the years. My family had some very distinct ones. You know, your family had some very distinct ones, especially when it came to cooking,
Yes.
because Italian grandma.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're kind of just talk about that and figure it out from there. I'm not sure what we're going to talk about as we get closer to Christmas with actual holiday stuff. And Christmas Day actually is on a Thursday, so I don't know that we're going to. I'll probably upload a video versus do live for Christmas Day because we usually have our own plans and everything, unless we just decide to do it from the iPad and get everybody in on it that's here. So we'll see. That might kind of be fun, you know, depending on who's coming by. But we usually do an open house. But so French vanilla,
As usual. Well, lately anyway.
Lately, yeah. We need more coffee. So if you have any coffees that you want us to try
that have no nuts, such as hazelnut.
Yeah, no hazelnut, no any kind of tree nut. I'm allergic, so but you can drop ship us some.
No hazelnut.
Yeah, no almond. Yeah. None of the fun stuff.
No macadamia coffee.
Yeah. We need to actually go up to Lexington to Badass Coffee Company and get some coffee. So Badass Coffee Company originated in Hawaii. And when I went there, I was in my 20s and I spent 2 weeks in Oahu. And this little tiny hole in the wall coffee shop where I spent most of one day actually talking to the owner or the manager. I think she was the manager in there over Hawaiian chocolate, which was really good, coffee, and just sitting and taking notes as she told me stories of, you know, what her grandmother told her about Pele and folklore and King Kamehameha and just a lot of really cool stuff. But they opened one in Lexington last year at some point, and I actually squealed when I drove past and told Val, and we still haven't gotten up there. So we need to go and pick up
brakes.
Yeah, we need to go up and actually pick up some of their coffee. But there's a few places that I'd like to try. But I don't know that Death Wish is something I drink on a regular basis, but there's Bones Coffee, there's Death Wish, we like the Seattle's Best. We don't usually buy Starbucks for home. But I want to try like indie roasters and that kind of thing. And I'm actually looking at getting samples from a company that whitelists. So we might have a coffee with Panda Coffee at some point. I'm working on I redid the branding. So I need to work on the packaging. And you can get these mugs in the new shop on Printify, which there will be a link below. And it has our new logo on it, and we actually have the old one too, because I know a lot of people like that one. So I will be uploading that one to the shop as well. So, but traditions, tell me about your family traditions this time of year.
My grandparents always had a big family dinner on Christmas Eve.
Us too.
And I had one of those families where, like, every cousin, every aunt and uncle, every brother and sister from Chicago or wherever they were living at the time would fly in or drive in, because my grandparents at that time, um, by then had retired. They had a big like horse ranch in California, and uh, they just had, you know, a really big, dining room and plenty of space for like side tables for like kids to all sit at one table, kind of thing. But just the food that would show up to this day,
Eh, yeah.
the
I was just thinking.
the different types of salad, the different uh, like baked pasta casseroles that would show up. My grandmother would make polenta
Mm-hmm.
like the real way, not
Mm-hmm.
like here's this brick, fry it in a pan. No, 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 no. No, the way you really make polenta, where you pour it and it's got like 4 steps to make it. Um, she would make a pot of sauce, um, so that you could just, put your sauce on top of it if you wanted to. And then whatever was left over the next morning, we would eat it for breakfast with like maple syrup on top.
Yeah.
Because it was fantastic. She would boil, I think it was boil, I can't remember. I never touched it. It looked like something out of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Calamari.
She would do like boiled octopus.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm sure someone probably brought like calamari or something, but I never ate it. I was like 10, but uh, and she would make lamb,
Mm.
and the lamb would be already in the pasta sauce. So you just got your polenta, got your sauce, and put a couple of pieces of the lamb on your plate, and you ate it that way. Usually, and then if you wanted side salads, or side pasta noodle salads, or uh, whatever there was. I think someone in one year brought a fruit salad, and it just looked really strange because it had like, I forget what they put in it back in the 80s. It was really weird looking.
The jelly
It was that
one,
it was that pink one.
Yeah.
It was like pink and like orange. It had like, I don't know if it had like
Had
peaches
Cool-
in it or
Cool
something
Whip?
like that. It might have had Cool Whip in it. It looked really strange.
Sounds like an
and
ambrosia.
at night. Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Yeah, ambrosia salad.
And,
Yeah. Hey, good morning.
but it was just very strange looking. And at like 9 years old, I was like, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
And then they would always have like coffee and all of the usual types of cakes and things like that.
Yeah, my next door neighbor growing up, Sandy, we used to call her my Italian mom, and she's the one that taught me how to cook Italian, and she made homemade from scratch pasta sauce, but her garlic bread was insane, and she'd put like a melted like half an inch of butter with all the spices and garlic and everything in it, and she would soak the bread, and then whatever butter or whatever was left in the pan, she would pour it in her sauce, and it was all from scratch sauce. It wasn't I'm going to open a can for this. You didn't open a can in that house.
Mm-mm.
And she didn't make her own pasta, but if she could have, she would have. I know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, 80s growing up next door to her were, I was not a skinny kid.
Yeah, I wasn't either. I mean, not that I've put some of it back on, but when I was in high school and everything, I used to run. I was in cross country and track, but I weighed like 140 till I got to college.
Yeah,
I didn't weigh anything.
Started cooking.
I weigh almost 180, 185 now or something like that. I'm up there. I put the weight back on, but when I was a kid, there are pictures of me like as a kid, and I've got like the chunky arms.
When I first met you,
the chunky arms, and I'm sitting there.
When I first met you, Logan used to call you breadstick.
Breadstick, yep.
Because you're Italian, so he used to call you breadstick.
Yeah.
But yeah, my family had similar traditions as far as Christmas Eve. We'd all get together, usually at my aunt's house because she had the big house. And my cousins and everybody would bring food, and they had this rotating. My aunt had this, the cathedral ceilings. She actually designed her house and had it built. And she had cathedral ceilings, and for a while she had this fake Christmas tree that it rotated and played music. So my cousin's kids would love decorating it because they would just stand there with the garland and go up and down as this thing rotated around. And then they finally get too impatient and just start hanging stuff. But it made it a game to try and, catch the branches as it went by with the ornaments. So it was pretty funny. But everybody would do, like, Easter and Thanksgiving. We were big sit down potluck. Everybody brought something, usually more than one thing. And if it had nuts in it, they would bring us another pan of it that didn't have nuts in it because I was allergic to tree nuts. So we had food for like a neighborhood, and everybody would go home with leftovers. For Christmas, we did kind of a sidebar buffet kind of thing with my cousin Sandy had these. It was like Bisquick with kielbasa and cheese, little balls. And then we have the sweet and sour meatballs. And then we have, the fruit and cheese and sandwich stuff. And we would just eat all day and candy and homemade cookies and, all sorts of stuff. But everybody brought a present for everybody else. And if there's like 14 to 17 of us there, everybody got like 20 presents, and it was just this tree. You had 2 feet out, 3 feet high, all the way around this tree with presents. It was insane growing up like that.
And the cookies.
Italian grandma cookies.
Italian grandmother cookies. That's all I should have
and
to
say. He makes pizzellis.
I still make pizzellis, but that's because they are my favorite.
And he's gonna start that and the haystack, the
peanut. Those are my other favorite. Yes. Yeah, the peanut butter. But that's because they're peanut Chinese. Butter. You can't hate peanut butter.
Yeah, the peanut butter unless
you just can't have peanuts.
Unless you're a heathen.
But I didn't say it.
I'm actually not.
I didn't say it.
I have to be in the mood for peanut butter.
Yeah.
But then when I am in the mood for peanut butter, it's like, I gotta have really good raspberry jelly or some kind of thing to go with it.
I like boysenberry with mine. Like when I do like peanut butter sandwiches, elderberry. I have to have like boysenberry jam.
Elderberry.
Yeah.
I want to actually find. I have mountain cranberry seeds, which is lingonberry, and I really want to get them to grow because I want to make jam. And I really want to go back up to IKEA and get another bowl of it. My family always had me make the cookies and my fruitcake. I had go ahead and then I'll get back into remind me fruitcake.
The plates of cookies.
Yeah.
Right. So she would make pizzellis. She'd make like 3 batches of them because she had a big round Tupperware this big, this deep with a lid flat that she would just bake like 3 batches of pizzellis.
Yeah, the grandma sewing kit.
No.
I know you need this. You need the grandma sewing kit. The big tin.
She would make the round. They look like a donut hole, but they were covered in powdered sugar.
I've got a recipe for those.
Yep. I wish I knew what they were called. I can't remember what they were called. Snowballs. Is that what they were? Okay. She may have had a different name for them, but yeah, they were pretty much like.
Yeah, they usually have nuts in them, so I've never been able to eat them.
Well, the ones that had nuts for sure that I knew were the semilunas.
Yeah,
the ones that were this big. They had like crushed nuts in them or something like that, and spice. Yeah. She would make those. She would make the haystacks. She would make what was it? Snickerdoodles.
Mm-hmm.
She would make some kind of. She would make some kind of like peppermint, like chocolate cookie that was dark brown.
Oh, like the crinkle?
Really dark. Yeah, like the kind of.
The ones that have the cracks in them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're baked till they're like. They look like a molasses cookie that's like cracked all apart.
My buddy Chad for my birthday brought me a double batch of homemade molasses cookies, molasses crinkles.
Those were really good.
So good.
They had a bite too. They were very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. I want to actually get some candied ginger and for one batch, a batch with cinnamon chips, and I want to make the white chocolate oatmeal cranberry cookies that my friend Rose, who sadly passed, um, used to make, and she was from Upper Peninsula, Michigan. In fact, remind me to ask Logan. Maybe Logan knows because he used to live in Michigan. But they had a specific name for them, and I can't remember what they are, but they're so good. They're like my favorite cookie. The fruit cake, I used my grandmother's applesauce cake and no nuts. Nice.
Ooh.
Yeah, so growing up, and I want to say my next door neighbor Sandy is the one that actually got me started on it. Two things with her family was they did the fruit cake, and then her aunt, who is Catholic, would show up with a back seat in her car full of a couple of boxes of pizzellis stacked and wrapped, which if you don't know what pizzellis are, they're the really thin wafer cookies that are about this big. They do have a smaller press, which I kind of want to get a smaller one too. We've got the regular size, and it's an Italian lace cookie. It looks like a doily, but it's got anise in it. And we've done chocolate version, we've done rum version, we've done 5-spice version when we didn't have anise. That was really
they
good.
resemble a stroopwafel.
Mm-hmm.
And they come. They actually
Very
traditionally come in
bigger.
2 different sizes, if I recall, because I've seen them silver dollar sized, approximately this big.
Yeah.
And I've seen the regular full size ones that are bigger.
Yeah.
And traditionally,
full size one.
The only time I've ever had any that vary from what's called the traditional recipe are the times when I've made the peppermint chocolate ones.
Oh yeah, they were good.
Or the orange rum ones, the orange and imitation rum ones. Otherwise, every other one that I've found are usually vanilla anisette.
Yeah. Ooh, we could do orange ones and dip them in chocolate. And drizzle chocolate. I have ideas. But yeah, my next door neighbors, she'd come and they'd have little saran wrap, she'd get like the cookie bags, the clear bags, cellophane bags, and do a stack of pizzellis and tie it with a piece of raffia and a prayer card. So that was always her thing. And she would give them out to people at Christmas, which I thought it was cool as hell when I was a kid. We moved into that house when I was 8, and until I was 18, I was there. So, but the fruit cake, wherever it came from, was a 30-day cake. It's called a 30-day cake. It's also been called a better than sex cake, but it's basically a bunch of fruit and sugar, and you leave it on your countertop with almost like sourdough where you've got it cracked so it can get air, but it's not open. And it ferments, and you add sugar and you add fruit and you keep adding stuff. And it was like fruit cocktail, the canned fruit cocktail, but you can do, we did, fresh fruit and different things. I'd like to try it with cranberries and some other stuff, but it has to ferment over that 30 days. And then you can share the starter with other people, kind of like you do sourdough. And then I know we've got these big mini loaf pans. I want to say it's like 18 mini loaves on these things. So I'm thinking about doing it that way and giving them out. Not this year, but I might do it in time for like maybe 12th night or for January. So start it this month and then have it for January for people. But it is the most decadent fruitcake I have ever had, and it is so good. It's not like brick hard. It's moist, and it's just really you can eat way too many of it, and it's got a kick to it. So it's actually like, I know somebody else that used to poke holes and pour rum over it. There's no frost, doesn't need frosting, doesn't need anything. It's super good. My molasses cookies with raisins are also a favorite. Oh, I
Mhm.
love brown butter dough. So it's like a chocolate chip dough. My daughter has a recipe that's like a basic cookie dough recipe that you can add pretty much anything to. And we've done everything from Andes mints to chocolate chips to snickerdoodles to, just add in a bunch of different things. But it's this base recipe. And I had to be, the chocolate chip cookies had to be really good. And if they were really good, sometimes I would pick out the chocolate. He and Issa would call me a heathen because they thought I was insane. They're like, "Why are you pulling out the chocolate?" But the dough is really good, and the dough is what I want right now. Still floored that your daughter's all grown. Yeah, I see like little ones like around in your apartment. I know. She is 24. She's already like, "Mom, I'm gonna be a quarter of a century next year." And I'm like, shut up. I just turned 56. I don't even want to hear it.
I remember my stepmom's post on Facebook. It's one of the few times I've seen her post over the last couple of years. Was when Patrick, my stepbrother, turned 50. And she's like, "When your baby turns 50." And I'm like,
yeah. My mom just turned 92. And my grandmother was 103 when she passed. My grandfather's 95. The only reason he was gone because he broke his other hip, and didn't come out of that. But the longevity in my family, I have zero concept of age. So both your kids are mid 40s. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it flies by so quick. And my daughter is just, she keeps me on my toes. She's my best bud, and she's so much fun to be around. We love traveling with her. But speaking of travel, we've been watching a lot of videos on Christkindl markets. I actually have German heritage in my family, and my mom and I, more than anything, used to do the German restaurants and
I do as well.
German import stuff. And now that we've done the DNA stuff, we know that he does too. But
I've known that I have my
but it was a little more extensive than you thought, I think.
There's a really dark blue dot on the area around Stuttgart, Germany.
Yeah.
Baden-Württemberg, which is the area right next to, it's like the one part of Germany that contains Stuttgart, which is where Porsche was originally from.
Yeah.
But there's like a couple of German names in my family on my mother's side. Van Dyke, Vandyke, just like Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah.
And I think there's one other one, but that might be the stepfather. I can't remember.
Yeah. But it's been like, we used to do Christmas traditions that were German leaning, and my mom cooked recipes on occasion that were German leaning. And we had a tradition of like twice a month, sometimes once a week, we would go to a place called Dunderbox in Florida that I think there's one location left in Tampa, but it was this little German import shop, wine cellar, and they had a bar that you could order food at. So knockwurst and sauerkraut, homemade streusel, but we actually, when we were up in Columbus, went to Schmidt's, which is amazing. And we have Hofbrauhaus here, which is pretty good. But Schmidt's, if you want real German food, you go to Schmidt's. And they had the cream puffs that are the size of your head.
They've been around 100 years.
Yeah. But the little import shop, especially around Christmas, we would get these little wooden village houses and all this other stuff. And we actually went to the Christkindl market a couple of years ago in Cincinnati and found somebody that was selling the same little wooden house set but had other little sets to go with it. So I got one that went with my original one, which I still have, and it was so cool. But so we've kind of incorporated going to Chris Kindle markets. We definitely want to go to the ones in Austria. We haven't been to Europe yet. We really want to go. Usually it's funding because it's not a cheap trip. And want to do it right. Want to do trains. Want to do, decent hotel. Doesn't have to be, 5-star or anything, but or go to one of those, smaller villages that rent out places. And I'm not so much the touristy type. I like doing the off the beaten path. And it's like, okay, where do you live here? Where do you go eat? Where do you do your thing at? So that's kind of what we want to do. But we did the Christmas Eve get together with everybody, and then Christmas morning was first thing in the morning was all stockings at your individual houses, and then Christmas Day was pretty much your part of the family does your own thing at home. Well, over the years, it's morphed into, once I had my daughter, it was Christmas Eve with my mom usually. We didn't have the big family get-togethers after my grandmother passed. The family kind of split because my mom and her half sister, my aunt, weren't the best of friends. So
a lot of sisters aren't.
They had their own things going on, but my cousins and I are pretty close. My cousin Sandy in Oregon and my cousin Bud's daughter Diana in Florida, especially. They were the closest to me in age, but we had a tradition we would do as the big family get together Christmas Eve is we used to open all the presents at my aunt's house, and the youngest person was the elf. So forever, I was the one that handed out presents to everybody. And then when my cousin Bud had his 2 girls, I got to train the new elves, and they got to hand out everything. So when I had my daughter, she became the elf and got to do that for us. Sometimes we do the little hat just as a thing, but it was
my parents used to.
Yeah.
My parents used to try to make sure that the grandkids believed in Santa as long as possible, and they had so many weapons because we used to get up on the roof because we decorated with Christmas lights. My block in California, where I lived until I was 18, was one of those areas where everybody would drive from like clear out in San Fernando Valley to my area. There would be lines of cars to see my neighborhood and how lit up it was for Christmas. My parents' house didn't have a crazy amount of lights, but it had a very unique, very special set of panels and a bunch of motorized elves to be Santa's workshop sitting on the front lawn and everything. And my dad and I would put that up for several years while I was growing up. But we had easy access to the roof because we were going up there to put lights up there anyway. So, me or Patrick would get up on the roof when the kids were starting to question whether, these things were real. And we would get out there and run around on the roof a little bit, and I think for about
I just see Patrick making deer noises.
Not even no, it wasn't even those kinds of noises. It was just making some kind of padding up on the roof to make sure that they thought there were like
literally
footprints.
A clown.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. Of course, he's totally on board with that kind of stuff. But yeah, like Kevin was the one who was skeptical the most, and he was the oldest grandkid, So it was fantastic though. And it was just really fun to, because even by the time Kevin was like, I think after 11, he just kind of was like, no, Santa's not real or whatever. But we had all of his younger brothers and sisters still like believing in Santa Claus because even he couldn't really figure out like how stuff happened. Like we went to a cabin one year up in the San Bernardino Mountains, um, uh, and camped, and where the snow was and everything for Christmas for about 4 or 5 days, and we were there for Christmas. And Kevin's like, "Oh, Santa can't possibly get here, blah blah blah," or whatever. We had all of the presents in the other car's trunk. And we waited to put them under the tree at the cabin until Christmas Eve.
Yeah, until everybody's asleep.
So it was fantastic.
That's awesome. Yeah, they had my mom, which if you didn't hear me, hi Jenny. The hardest part for my mom was I was Houdini.
Mm-hmm.
And she made it inadvertently because I didn't care. I wanted to be surprised Christmas morning. I still want to be surprised Christmas morning. But she made it a game for me to try and find stuff one time. And she screwed herself over for that, because after that, I was just like, I knew where everything was. So I always could figure out, logically what my presents were. And I wasn't like shaking boxes or anything, but I was just like, okay, I know what that is. And she hated that. She gets so mad at me. But old traditions, we'd all open our presents up, and we did thank you cards. I am doing a book called Pip's Little Book of Letter Writing that's coming out hopefully this month if I'm productive enough. And it's going to teach people, adults, kids, how to write thank you letters, how to write a letter, how to, address an envelope, how to be a pen pal, all that stuff. And I have like stickers and a bunch of stuff already done for it, but I've been working on it on live stream.
How many kids don't know how to just
freaking
write
thank
a
you
basic
cards?
Form letter?
I'm even bad about it. I will be the first to admit I design stationery for a living, and I don't write cards as much as I want to. It gets away from me, and it's also it's so much faster to just text somebody and email, and I've gotten out of the habit, and it's just like, but I have these gorgeous like green envelopes for the Christmas cards this year, and which are going out this week, and reminding me to write my pen pal letters. I know I need to sit down and do mine too. Everybody's getting pretty envelopes, and I'm doing artsy cards, so it'll be letters and to catch up tucked inside Christmas cards.
When I was a kid, every year my other aunts and uncles who lived elsewhere as far away as Chicago or back east, when I was living in California, I would write them just regular like thank you cards, thanking them for what they had sent, whether it was a card or whether it was something to get myself something with, whether it was a gift card or something like that, or whatever. And I wrote letters. I wrote 4 or 5 letters every Christmas because people would send a card with something, whether it was a check for me to get what I want, or whatever else.
I remember getting checks in the mail,
or
I haven't used a
credit, or just gift cards, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it's crazy how many people can't just write a basic form letter, let alone a thank you card.
There's
like a regular thank you note.
One of the biggest reasons that I wanted to do this was because of the fact that I knew somebody whose daughter was terrified to take her driver's test, not because she couldn't drive, but because she didn't know how to sign her name, because they had stopped teaching cursive in school. And I homeschooled my daughter, and so she knew how to hand letter. But it was funny because I used to have like really rounded letters and stuff in high school, and then I became an architectural design major, so everything's squared off. So if you've seen my handwriting, people hate me for my handwriting because they can read it from across the room, because it's these cap letters and very, very, when I'm taking my time, very, very neat. But
yeah, I still know how to drafting script.
yeah,
Yep.
and it's a very specific kind of script. And then I realized that I'm like, why is she writing in all caps all the time? Oh, I forgot to teach her how to do lowercase. So I mean, that was a brief moment in time, but it was very funny. But Christmas Day, you'd write thank you cards to people. You'd make it an artsy thing. It was one of the things we did. But so our tradition with my ex Logan, his mom had passed when she was 50, she was murdered when he was 15, and a lot of her traditions became very important to me, and I wanted to incorporate it. So he told me that she used to do chili on Christmas Eve, so we started doing chili on Christmas Eve, and we'd open one present, not necessarily like all of them, unless we went to his brother's house or we went someplace else where we were celebrating, like with my mom or whatever. Then we'd open all the presents. But if it was just us, we'd do one present on Christmas Eve. Now, because I found out that it was like 12 to 15% Scandinavian. Iceland was one, and Sweden and Norway were the other two, and now it's just Norway and Iceland. But
mine's still Sweden, 7%. It's not much.
But, yeah. But I was just like, okay, I'm big on multicultural stuff, and I always like looking at different traditions. And I already had some German stuff mixed in, and so now I have Icelandic stuff because Jólabókaflóð, which is you open one present Christmas Eve. It's a book, and you spend the rest of the evening reading and eating chocolate. I am so on board with that. And then Christmas Day, like now we'll get together Christmas Eve with, Logan and his girlfriend and us and my daughter. And then Christmas morning, we all do stockings in our own houses. And then Christmas Day, we do an open house where anybody can stop by, come in. Usually my daughter cooks a lot of food, and now we're going to have, we're going to kind of potluck it. Yeah. So it's not so much on her, but, we do that and friends come over and do stuff. And there's lots of cookies and homemade fudge. And she has done a Gordon Ramsay chicken in the past with like the butter underneath the skin and the crispy stuff. She wrapped it in bacon one year. It was just, we have enough food forever. But we open the rest of the presents Christmas Day if we have people come over and they bring stuff, or if we have, that kind of thing. But usually Christmas stockings in the morning, Christmas morning. And then we watch all the vintage old movies like White Christmas. And we just did Miracle on 34th Street, the Natalie Wood version for Thanksgiving, which is usually a tradition. And then of course, Elf, you gotta have Elf in there. And Meet Me in St. Louis with Judy Garland, and just lots of old movie, veg out, nibble all day, and just kind of, veg. Celebrate on the 21st with Izzy for Yule. We celebrate Yule too. Then we do dinner and presents with his kids on Christmas Day. My kids are, I'm sorry, I'm looking past my camera here. My kids are a mix of pagan and Christian, so we celebrate by FaceTime on the respective days. White Christmas is my favorite. Yeah, I grew up with White Christmas and Holiday Inn, and Holiday Inn is so racist. I stopped watching it. I like the movie still, but it's just kind of like cringy in some spots. But White Christmas, I had the biggest crush on Danny Kaye. I still love Danny Kaye. Absolutely love him. Court Jester. If you haven't seen it, you need to see it. But Vera Ellen, who plays his partner in White Christmas, used to dance with an instructor at the studio that I taught at in Ocala. Five Pennies is my favorite. Yes. I love all the Danny Kaye movies. I grew up on vintage movies. My mom, vintage movies, vintage music. That's the other Christmas tradition is I have the LP and I have a CD of it now that I found. is Disney came out with a Sounds of Christmas that is my absolute all-time favorite thing to listen to, along with Patrick Stewart's one-man show of Christmas Carol. I have the CD for that. But the sound effect, actually, can you grab it? It's the white Disney one with the Santa and all the stuff. It's the one
in
that we
the
listen. Yeah, in the
vinyl thingy.
In the cabinet. Yeah. So
The not cabinet.
Yeah, the not cabinet. I got an inexpensive LP cabinet to put the all my vinyl in, and then the record player on top, because he won a record player years ago back at Barnes and Noble. Should be. It's white.
White? Half of these are white.
But it's all Christmas sound effects on one side, like crackling fire, popping popcorn, breaking ornaments, tinsel twinkle, sound. But the other side, the main side, is this guy. It's kind of like a musical, but not really. He's telling the story of his Christmas traditions. And I might be able to find it, I think, on YouTube. I will link it below if I do. Or I'll link the LP and stuff. I watch watch with my gram. Yeah, my mom was big into old music and everything. Still listen to Chipmunk Christmas. Yep. Yeah, we had like I grew up on Peggy Lee. Okay, it might be in the other section that I haven't put in there yet.
I'm gonna need more time to dig through that because I can't find it. Okay. And I found 4 other Christmas albums that weren't it. So
okay. But yeah, it's the Sounds of Christmas by Disney. I still have my LP that my mom gave me. That's the Disney Electric Light Parade music, but the original. And I used to have the 45 or the LP for the Haunted Mansion.
I've got a
soundtrack.
Weird one for you.
I can't remember. What?
When we used to have our house all lit up for Christmas, right? We would open the bedroom windows that faced the street, and my parents would turn up the stereo that was in the living room because they were playing the Christmas Mannheim Steamroller.
Yes.
For
yes,
to be heard out on the street with the Christmas music.
I grew up on Elvis Christmas too, so still listen to that. Reminds me of my dad. Yeah. I'm a major bah humbug. This time of year, there's only one Christmas movie I watch. Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. Yep.
I'm trying to think, was it Carol King? Carol King. Musician.
Probably. Carol King, probably.
Christmas, yeah.
Yeah. I like the old Bing Crosby.
It's that time of year.
Yeah.
That her version of that. Yeah.
Peggy Lee is still my favorite. Peggy Lee, for those that don't know, did this song in Lady and the Tramp. I'll get hit for copyright if I sing it, but he's a tramp, but I love him kind of thing with her strutting out. I have to head out. I hope you both have a great day. You too, Jenny. Oh, the Siamese cats were my favorite. And they eliminated that because they were saying it was racist. People were trying to get it pulled or something for it. And it's like, that was my favorite. I never thought it was racist. It was
the best part.
It was supposed to be Siamese cats. What's,
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, now things like,
I think people are a little sensitive about it.
Well,
it's why?
Just there are things that I can see
mean cats being mean to a dog.
Yeah, I can see people of that persuasion having an issue.
Yeah,
because I mean, there's a lot of, trust me, there's a lot of stuff, but it's one of those, you erase your history, you forget your history, you repeat your history. Yeah, the song was also done by Peggy. Yeah, so Peggy Lee, I loved Peggy Lee. But I grew up on like Doris Day and Perry Como, and
Perry Como was my grandmother's favorite.
who's the one who sang with Lady Gaga? Tony Bennett.
Tony Bennett.
My love, and the Rat Pack and anything, But Christmas was always Bing Crosby and Peggy Lee. That was in our house. But it's now we have a combination of Christmas and Yule. We celebrate the solstice on the 21st, and this is the first year that I haven't done my digital advent, because I did for 13 years. I've done a digital advent it started out on Instagram, and then it went to Patreon. I did it free there for a while, and then I started charging for it, and then I moved to Ko-fi, and last year was the last year that I had done it. And I'm not doing it this year, and it's so weird because it was 25 daily downloads, and just, hey, Lacewing, how are you? Good morning. We are actually we're closing in on 11:45, so we're but we can both talk about all the traditions and things that we do, but we've modified as family components have changed, and we did all the things to keep my daughter believing for years, and we still do it even if it's just us, because we'll put cookies out, or we'll put milk out, or we'll do something, and it's just
and we still do stockings.
I go and work on beanies, yay.
And we still do stockings.
Love you. I need to get with you and maybe commission you or something to make me some things, because I really wanted, or even teach me how to do granny squares. I really need somebody I'm a lefty. I need somebody to teach me, because my grandmother was opposite hand and used to sit next to me, and by the time she realized that, you could have just sat across from me and I would have seen it correctly.
Can't that be done on FaceTime or
yeah,
Sky or Zoom now, where you just, because they're opposite you doing it. This is is their left hand. This is their right.
Maybe I'm right-handed.
This is their right hand.
I hold the hook in my right hand, I think, sometimes.
I wouldn't know. I'm just saying that when you're looking at
either way, I was opposite of my grandmother.
This looks like your left hand, even though it's their right. So even if they're doing it with their right hand,
you're also a lefty. Okay.
So
yeah. The big thing is I found somebody, CLA Crochet. She's an Italian designer on Instagram. Oh, she's got some cool stuff, and I've got somebody that'll do the one sweater for me for $85. But if I supply the yarn, I still need to find the yarn that I want. It's 2 different colors. And Isa, my daughter, had said that she was going to do try and do one for me, but I want to do like an ivory with white, so that it's this overall kind of beigey color with things that pop, but it's literally gigantic granny square. So it's like 2 across and then 2 for each sleeve. But it's gorgeous. So, but anyway, we just fill up stockings and pull a gift a day through the month up to Christmas. That's cool. Yeah, the Advent thing. So I've done Advent calendars before. I was looking at doing creating a digital game one, but that'll probably be for next year. I mean, it's definitely not going to be for this year. But I love Advent calendars. I've seen a lot of kits and different things like chocolate a day, book a day, but there's some really cool ones out there.
They do a dice a day too.
I know.
Where you can get the one from Wizards that's
dice
a D20 a day or whatever, and it's all like a different.
That might have to be a thing for. That's a stocking stuffer thing for us. The reason is all of us are dice goblins. Mm-hmm. And which reminds me, I finally got a purple Crown Royal bag that I need to put all the rest of my dice in, because my other one has My other one is
your orange one's right there. Yeah, your orange ones.
This is one of 2 bags, and this one is way full. So I need to do. I got it tied. So I need to get my other one going. So, but I like my Christmassy one.
Yeah, my orange one like that's about that full too. And I've got a whole separate black bag that's 80%, 90% full too.
My wife looking forward to trying out the pattern for. I know, and she did that test pattern for me, and I got so excited.
It's that line. I have dice that are older than you.
Ones those are fun. Yeah, those are cool. But yeah, I want to get like a bunch of different crochet people to just make me stuff.
It's like I have,
but I'd like to learn to make my own.
No. So. I have dice that are older than you.
Shut up.
My first set of dice actually came from a set of the blue box, the original blue box. Mm-hmm. It was the one where all 5 dice were a different color, so that as you were learning the game, it would just say, roll the yellow die now, roll the white die now, roll the orange die now. So you had the 5 different dice, and each one was a different color. That was the first set of dice I left Anthony's house with the day he introduced me to advanced D&D. And that was 1991. So if you're...
I'm 9 years older.
If you're younger than 1991, I have dice older than you.
But thank you so much. Yeah, I want to play with the Advent idea. But thank y'all so much for hanging out. We went a little long today, but like I said, it's one of our favorite topics is being able to talk about stuff. And we're wanting to travel more and do stuff around the holidays this year. Chris Kindle Market. Tomorrow, if you are on my Ko-fi, or if you see my Ko-fi shop, which I will link, tomorrow is Krampusnacht. So I am uploading a bunch of paper toys. And if you are even on the dollar level, it will unlock 90% of my posts on Ko-fi. And any funding right now goes to supporting our Christmas. But for Krampusnacht, I am putting up some Krampus stuff into the shop that is from 13 years worth of paper crafting plus some new stuff. So I have some super cute little gift tags and some other stuff, and I am donating a percentage to the Ohio Krampus Society because they actually do charity work and stuff for kids. So, and I really one year want to do a Krampus run. I want to actually get cosplayed out and do it at Chris Kindle Market with them. But so that will launch tomorrow. So take a look at my Ko-fi, and we will see you next Thursday. Thank you so much for being here. I'll close out with what I usually say on Twitch is stay safe, stay well, wear your mask, wash your hands, take care of each other, and we will see you next Thursday. My next live stream, though, is Saturday at noon Eastern Standard Time, and we will see you then. Bye.
I don't know where my hand is.
You got to do the